What is bounce rate? Bounce rate is when someone visits your website and then they leave before they visit the other pages. They bounce off. It's a one-page visit. We want to attract people to our websites and then we want to keep them there. This is tutorial number 24, controlling your bounce rate. Hi, I'm Candace. Welcome to Websites Made Easy with Candace. The tutorials in this series are based on my book, I Need a Website, What Do I Do Now? If you'd like to follow along, you can purchase my book at Amazon.com. A high bounce rate means that people leave without viewing other pages on your website. You lost your audience. A low bounce rate means that people are staying longer on your website and they're reading more and more of your content. You want your website to be sticky. You want them to stay because the longer they stay, the more they explore, the more likely they'll buy something. And Google will take notice too and deem that your website is interesting and useful and therefore rank you higher. So bounce rate gauges how many users actually interact with your website and how many didn't. You want them to stick around. A high bounce rate affects how much money you make. If the bounce is high and people leave your website, so does the money in their pocket. You can make adjustments to interest your target audience so they're going to stay on your website longer. They're going to look at other pages. They're going to engage with your products and services. And all this makes you more successful. You can find your bounce information by going on Google Analytics. And for more information on Google Analytics, check out my tutorial number 23. You want to click on Audience and then Overview. So take a look at the information. You can see there are 276 users on my website today. And out of that, there's 1,023 page views, which means they're looking at more than one page. And if you look over on the right, you can see my bounce rate is 50.68. That's good. Now go to Behavior. And then when you get to Behavior, you want to then click on Site Content. And underneath that, All Pages. So this will give you information about each page. What pages are visited the most frequently? Of course, that's going to be your home page. And you can see I have 499 visits to my home page. And if you look down, you can see next comes About. And they tell you how many how much interest each page. You can see at the very bottom, only 9 people are interested in my credentials. So maybe I should beef that up somehow. Then you can also take a look at the bounce rate. So my overall rate is 50.68. If you look at my home page, that's the first one. It has a 49.73 bounce rate. But take a look at my About page, 30%. People are interested in knowing about you. So always include that in your website. Going down a little bit further, the next one would be my projects page, 33%. Viewers will always check this out because they're interested in the type of work you do. Notice that the contact page and the pricing page get more of a bounce. You don't have to linger too long on either one of those pages to get the information that you need. And when you get to the bottom, you'll see the single post. That was a blog I did on SEO, and not many people were interested in that one, and I can understand. And then my credentials, not many people were interested in that as well. 50% of my blog Usually, that's good. Usually blog percentages are around 70 or more because people come into a blog and they read it and then they leave a lot of times. They don't really search your website. One of the reasons my blogs rate so high is because they're videos and people love videos. But videos will slow down your website. So if you link them to another site like I do, to my website's Made Easy with Candace page, then I eliminate that problem. So you click on the video on my website, it links to another site where you watch the video, and then when you click off of it, because my website has stayed open, you're back on my website. Videos engage your audience. People just would rather watch a video than read content. So you can lower your bounce rate by using videos. So how do you find your bounce rate? Bounce rate is determined by taking the amount of people who visit your website and only visit one page and divide that by all the people that visit your website. So if 10 people visited your website and 4 only visited one page and left, then you divide 4 by 10 and you get 40%, which is pretty good because 6 people stay. Another example, 10 people visit your website and 7 of them just looked at one page and then they bounced off. That meant only 3 people were interested in your website. So 7 divided by 10 is 70%. That's a higher bounce rate. 70% weren't interested enough to stay. They bounced off. What is a normal bounce rate? Well, it depends. Bounce rate varies depending on what type of website you have. If you want viewers to look at multiple pages of your website, then a high bounce rate indicates that you have a problem. And the reason could be that there's a broken link in your navigation menu, that people are leaving because your website's too slow to load, or maybe your content isn't relevant to them. And if you have a one-page website, then your bounce rate's going to be high. Duh. I mean, they're only going to one page. Don't opt for a one-page website. It used to be popular, but it isn't anymore. Viewers got tired of scrolling endlessly to the bottom and then having to go back up. And it's just not as easy to get information. It makes you look lazy. And then to complicate matters even more, different pages have different bounce rates depending on the viewer interest. Which is why when we looked at Google Analytics, we looked at all my pages. And you could see there were pages that had higher bounce rates. And that gives me the information that I can beef those pages up to interest my target audience more. Usually, as we saw earlier, the home page has the lowest bounce rate. But perhaps someone saw your blog on Google and they clicked onto your blog that got them onto your website, but they're not interested in anything except for the blog. So they'll read the blog and then leave without checking out the other pages. Or maybe your product page is what interests people, and they'll stay on that page and never read your blog page. And something else to consider is the average time, not just the pages, that is spent on your website. That affects your bounce rate. Perhaps they bounce from your home page after a couple seconds and go to your product page and stay on it longer. And bounce rate also depends on your industry. If you want something specific, you click on the product page. If you're doing a non-specific search, then you click on more pages. The average bounce rate for the auto industry is 40 to 50%. They're looking for a product, and they'll stay on that product page longer. Banking and finance, it's not as interesting, so it has about a 55 or 60% bounce rate. Blogs have a high bounce rate of about 70 to 99%. When somebody goes onto your website, they may or may not be interested in your blog. News sites, they have a bounce rate of 65 to 70%. You choose the articles you want to read and then you leave. Portal sites like Facebook or Yahoo, they really have a low bounce rate. People go onto Facebook and they stay. E-commerce and retail, they also have a low bounce rate, 20 to 45%. People take time to shop. They look at all the alternatives. And overall design is also important. Ugly design's going to kill your bounce rate. People judge your website on the design first. If they go onto your website and it looks awful, they bounce. So let's say you've got a great website design. Well, it's got to be easy to understand as well. They've got to get you and what you're about in a matter of seconds, or they bounce. Check out my videos on how to design a good website. Also, if you're using your phone, mobile users bounce more often. So if your target market uses mobile devices more often, your bounce rate's going to be higher. So the overall bounce rate for all websites is 51 to 61%. That's the average. Therefore, anything over 70 is high and under 50 is good. And if your bounce rate is under 20, it doesn't mean that it's good. And if it's over 90, it might not be because it's bad. You may have an analytic problem because it's usually not that good and it's usually not that bad. So how do you get people to stick to your website and decrease your bounce rate? Well, the first thing is make sure you're reaching your target audience. Those are the people who are going to stay longer. They're the ones that are interested in your product. Does your website clearly address their questions, and are you using the right keywords? So let's take a look at 11 ways to improve your bounce rate. Number 1, use images of your products and services on the top. That's what's going to catch their attention. That's what your viewers are searching for. Remember, your viewers are scanners. They like images. Number 2, use headers and subheaders to organize the page and make them larger and put them in bold. Number 3, keep text brief and make sure your fonts are large. They should be 14 to 24 points. Make it easy to read. As I've said before, people scan, they don't read. Number 4, use list, bullet list, numbered list. People like lists. They don't like paragraphs. Remember, they don't read, so use list. Number 5, use lots of space. Make your website easy on the eyes. If it's cluttered, people have to think. And people don't want to have to think, so keep it simple. Number 6, call to action, CTAs. These are links to other pages on your website. Call to actions get them to visit other pages and they stay on your website longer. If you want to know more about call to actions, check out my video number 15. Number 7, make sure your external links open on a new page. And if you do this, when your viewer closes that page, they're back on your website because your website stays open. In this example, we left the Smithsonian site, went to an alternate website. Now we'll click off that site and you'll see we're back to the Smithsonian site because it stayed open. And if you don't do this, they're gone and they won't be back. Number 8, images. Pictures and videos are very important to your website. And audio files are very popular right now. All of these engage your viewer. They entertain them, and it makes your page more interesting. For more information, check out my videos on imagery. Number 9, load time. If it takes too long to load your page, you lose your audience. So make sure that your images and your videos are optimized. See my tutorial on imagery for a list of free tools to optimize your images. It's easy and it's an important step to do. GTmetrix was developed by Carbon60 as a tool for customers to easily test the performance of their websites. So let's go to GTmetrix.com. I'll type in my website and have it analyzed. Using these tools to analyze your website makes your website so much stronger. If I get a C rating, I look up what areas need to be fixed. I fix them, and the next time I do the analyzation, I come up with an A or a B. So now let's take a look at the results. Today I got an A. I've worked on my website to make it faster, and I've eliminated some problem areas. Take a look at total blocking time. Now that's how much time is blocked by script used on your website. And if you look down to speed visualization, you can see how the title Amazing Websites moves into the screen as you open my website page. If I wanted that page to be faster, I could make that static. But I like the effect, so I'll give up a little bit of the time. Number 10, if you've got a blog, and you should have a blog, see my video on writing a blog because it's easy. Make sure that your blog is current. Number 11, make sure your website is mobile friendly. More and more people are using mobile phones to find you. By reducing your bounce rate, you're going to improve the user experience, and people will want to stay on your website longer, and they'll want to learn more about your products and services. When people stay on your website longer, your bounce rate's going to go down, and Google's going to reward you by ranking you higher. But don't get frustrated. It can take a long time for Google to notice, 7 to 14 months. You've got to be patient. You've got to keep updating. Check your Google Analytics. Write a blog. It will happen. You just got to stick with it. Video number 25 is all about backlinks. Backlinks are created when one website links to another. Backlinks will improve your SEO performance. And if your SEO improves, more people find out about you. So check it out. It'll be fun. So Lulu and I'll see you next time.